Hi and a very warm welcome back to the garden. In this video I'm going to be showing you three herb seeds that you can sow in June and can be enjoying for the rest of the summer. This video is all about herbs, and the first herb that I recommend to sow in June is dill. Now this is an annual and it has the most beautiful feathery foliage, and that foliage has a very nice aniseed flavour. So it's very much like fennel. It grows to about 6 foot tall if you allow it to flower, and those flowers are absolutely amazing. It's a lovely umbella for flower. It has lovely yellow flowers, and then if you let that go to seed, you can also not only eat the flowers but also eat the seed. The whole of this plant is edible, which is fantastic. The variety I'm sowing today is a variety called Mammoth, and this one can get up to about 6 feet tall if you allow it to get to the flower stage. So if you don't want the flowers, you can just continue to just harvest the leaves, and when the flower stalks begin to come, just nip those out. If you really want to have the flowers, which I do suggest because the flowers of dill are completely beautiful. They're really good for pollinators. You can use the leaves in salads, with potatoes, with fish, with eggs. There's a huge variety of uses for dill. So I'm going to grow this variety today, and I'm just going to use one of these trays. It's a multi-cell tray, and because we don't want to have loads and loads of plants, we're getting to that time of year now where there's a lot of plants that we've got and there's not a lot of space in the borders. These are really good for containers, so we'll probably end up putting these into containers. So I'm going to start first with the dill, and I'm just going to fill this tray. So because we don't want to sow too many, this whole tray is going to be suitable for all of the three seeds I'm going to be sowing today. So I'm not going to sow loads and loads. I'm going to be quite disciplined, which is difficult for me at the best of times, but I am going to try and limit just how many seeds we do sow, and that's only because of limited space. So I've just partially filled a modular tray. I'm just firming that compost down so there's enough space on the top for us to add those seeds. So let's open this wonderful packet. I can hear all those beautiful seeds rattling around, which is brilliant. So let's get, oh, these seeds are beautiful. So the seeds are nice and largish, so they're really good for station sowing. It really means we can be quite careful about how many seeds we sow in to each module. Now dill is a plant that doesn't like to be disturbed too much, so at this time of year you can be sowing it direct to where you want to grow it. Alternatively, like we're doing here, sow it into module trays, and then when the plants are big enough we can just take the whole module out and then pop it on into another container or into the ground if you wish, and that will just help to prevent any root disturbance. If you were to sow this into a regular tray and have all these seedlings on the surface of it, you'd then be disturbing as you're pricking out all those seedlings. So it's best, ideally, if you're going to sow this in a seed tray, sow it into something like this with modules, so you can actually monitor how many seeds you're growing, but also prevent the root disturbance. So I'm just going to sow 2 seeds per module. Now dill is something we used to grow in our Sheffield garden, and we used to enjoy the leaves in salads and also in soups. So I'm only going to use 2 rows of this tray because that's going to give us plenty of plants. I'm going to put the rest back. And then with a little bit of vermiculite, I'm just going to cover those up. So I'm just covering just so I can't see them anymore. And then I'm just going to firm that down just with my finger, just to make sure that that seed has good contact with the compost below it. And then, so I don't forget what I've sown where, I'm just going to pop that one in there. That's my label, which is saying what I've planted. Dill loves to be in a sunny position, so if you can provide that environment for it, it will reward you with an abundance of leaves. And if you do want to have succession with those fresh leaves, then you need to just do a successional sowing every maybe 3 or 4 weeks from now through into the summer, and that would provide you with lots and lots of fresh leaves that you can be harvesting and picking as you wish. The next herb I'm going to be sowing is a parsley, and this is a plain leaved parsley. The variety is saying it's plain leaved too, and this is a Italian type of parsley, or sometimes known as French, and this is flat leaved. So you can get 2 different types of parsley. One is the flat leaf and one is the curly leaf. So this is just the flat leaf variety. So again, I'm not going to sow too many. I'm just going to sow a few seeds in each module. Parsley is grown for its peppery leaves, and they again can be used in pastas, in soups, in salads, in a whole variety of different dishes. And it's really easy to grow. So I'm just sowing maybe 3 or 4 seeds per cell. That's more than enough. The leaves are full of antioxidants and full of nutrients, so that's brilliant. I'm just covering up those seeds and just pressing those down. Parsley can be quite slow to germinate. It can take around a month, so please be patient. Just because it's not coming up straight away and the other seeds I'm sowing today come up much sooner, don't be too tempted to throw it away. It will come up, just give it some more time. Give parsley a sunny position. It can also take part shade, and it will reward you with those flavoursome, beautiful leaves that you can be using in all of your cooking. It's such a versatile herb, and it's actually a biennial. So in the first year it will produce leaves. If you do keep it for the second year, it will produce a flower spike. And again, because it's part of the Alpiaceae family, it has those beautiful umbellifer flowers. And the flowers are edible, the seeds are edible. So if you do keep it for the second year, you can be rewarded by those lovely seed heads, and also to collect the seeds from once it's finished flowering. The third and final suggestion for what to sow in June is chives. Now, chives are generally a cool season crop. Now, I've been searching the supermarkets all year for these, and for some reason we just can't get hold of any. So we've got some seeds instead. It's generally best being sown in the spring or in the autumn, but I'm going to try my luck. It is only June, and as I couldn't get hold of any in the supermarkets, I am going to get some growing myself. So we do love chives. Chives are very versatile herbs. Chives are part of the onion family, which means the leaves you're going to be harvesting are going to have a very mild onion taste, and that's what we grow it for. If you do find red onions, spring onions, or just general white onions too strong for you, I do suggest you try chives. It is a very mild onion flavour, and it's a wonderful thing, because when we've grown it in the past, I just can't help myself from, when I see it, just picking some leaves off and just having a nibble of them while I'm in the garden. And chives can be used in salads, with fish, with potatoes, with eggs, with a whole host of different kinds of cuisines, just like the parsley and the dill can. When it does flower, it produces these small pink roundish flowers, and they're actually also edible as well. So they're brilliant to garnish the salad with. They look nice on the plate. So there's a wonderful array of different things you can do with chives. The whole thing is just a really versatile plant. And the seeds are quite smallish and a very dark black. And I'm just going to sow just a cluster in each of the remaining cells. That's plenty. And then I'll grab some of this vermiculite and again just cover them over. And then just add the label. With the chives and the parsley, you can always bring some plants indoors and you can just harvest it straight from your windowsill, which is great when you're cooking. You don't have to go travelling into the garden. Chives are also perennial, which means if you do plant them out into the garden, it does mean you've got them pretty much for life. They will die down in the winter time and re-emerge during the spring. So it's a very, very worthwhile plant to grow. So these are our 3 suggestions for what to sow in June, and these were all herbs. And there's a variety of different types. You have one that's a biennial, one that's treated as an annual, and one that's a perennial. So a whole range of different types. I'm just going to get these now watered, and then I'm going to place these somewhere just in part shade, because I don't want them to be too blazed by the hot heat that we're getting at the moment. Thanks very much for watching. It's been great having you here with us this afternoon. If you do have any comments about anything I've sown, please put them in the comments box below, and we'll see you very, very soon on the next video. In the meantime, please take care.